he might be the type of person that never like really settles with somebody. Maybe he's like a, he's like a bee going from flower to flower to flower.
Well, listen, I'm a happy guy. I'm, in a committed situation, or not just situation, committed partnership, and I respect that. And look, the Chicago women ain't nothing like Chicago women. I know you Jamaica, and, you got your roots, but Chicago women are amazing, and I gotta say that.
On the surface, Jennifer Hudson and Common seemed untouchable, a power couple that radiated charm, respect, and stability in a world where celebrity relationships rarely last. He spoke openly about how their connection had transformed his life, calling it one of his greatest blessings. She appeared to have finally found a partner who matched her success and strength. To fans, it looked like destiny had finally delivered the happy ending both had been searching for. But what if that picture-perfect love story was only an illusion? What if behind the smiles, award shows, and carefully worded interviews, cracks had already begun to form? In Hollywood, nothing stays hidden for long, and the whispers around this couple started to grow louder. Rumors of infidelity, questions about commitment, and even deeper speculation about whether the relationship was built on truth or performance. Jennifer, a woman who's overcome unimaginable hardships and heartbreak, deserved peace. Common, a man admired for his artistry and intelligence, seemed like the perfect fit. Yet those who know his history understood that his charm often came with a pattern, a cycle of whirlwind romance followed by a sudden retreat. So how did a love story that looked so strong unravel so quickly? And is the drama now unfolding the result of betrayal, personal fears, or something far more complicated than either side is willing to admit? Hold on, because the truth behind Jennifer Hudson and Common's relationship might not be the fairy tale fans thought it was. When Common first spoke about Jennifer Hudson, the world couldn't help but swoon. In interviews, he didn't just describe her as a girlfriend, he called their connection one of the greatest blessings of his entire life. His words painted the picture of a man who had finally found what so many of his past relationships lacked: stability, depth, and a true partner. He gushed about the friendship, the partnership, the life journey they were supposedly building together. To fans listening in, it sounded like a love story straight out of a movie, two stars, both powerful in their own right, coming together not just for romance, but for something deeper. He made it clear this wasn't some fling. This was a soulmate bond, the kind of thing you only get once in a lifetime. And Jennifer seemed to glow right alongside him. Whether they were photographed at events or seen laughing in interviews, the chemistry looked effortless. For a moment, people believed Common was finally ready to settle down, finally done with his reputation as the man who couldn't keep a woman. But here's the thing. When words are too perfect, sometimes they're hiding the cracks underneath. Because almost as soon as he gave those heartfelt declarations, the narrative began to shift. Instead of more joint appearances, fans noticed less. Instead of adoring statements, rumors of distance and coldness started surfacing. The same man who once said he'd never known a true partnership until Jennifer suddenly seemed absent, quiet, even distracted. So, what happened? How do you go from calling someone your greatest blessing to allegedly pulling away so fast? The answer may lie not in Jennifer's actions, but in Common's own well-documented patterns. To really understand what might have gone wrong between Common and Jennifer Hudson, you have to look at his past. Because if history tells us anything, it's that Common has a pattern, and it almost always ends the same way. Over the years, his love life has read like a roll call of Hollywood's most admired women. Serena Williams, Taraji P. Henson, Tiffany Haddish, Erykah Badu, the list goes on. These weren't just casual flings, they were relationships that drew attention, made headlines, and seemed to put him right at the center of the celebrity power couple spotlight. And yet, not a single one of them lasted. For a long time, fans were left wondering why. How could a man with so much charm, talent, and emotional intelligence fail to hold on to even one of these seemingly perfect matches? Eventually, Common himself gave the answer. In candid interviews, he admitted to struggling with something he called a love addiction. He explained it as being hooked on the feeling of falling in love, the thrill, the fireworks, the honeymoon phase that makes everything feel effortless. But when that initial spark faded, he would lose interest, retreat, and ultimately move on. That confession gave people clarity, but also raised red flags. Because if that cycle is real, then no matter how much he praised Jennifer, no matter how deeply he claimed to love her, the odds were always stacked against the relationship. Could Jennifer Hudson, with all her resilience and strength, really rewrite a pattern that had defined Common's love life for decades? Or was she destined to be just another chapter in a story we've already seen play out too many times? And that brings us to the moment everything shifted: the rumors of a proposal and Jennifer's shocking hesitation. Just when it seemed like Jennifer Hudson and Common might finally break his cycle, whispers of a proposal started to surface. Insiders claimed that Common was ready to take the leap to turn their celebrated romance into something permanent. After all, in his own words, he had never experienced a true partnership until Jennifer. For a man with his track record, even the idea of marriage was headline-worthy. But behind the scenes, things weren't as picture-perfect as fans imagined. According to reports, Jennifer wasn't ready to say yes. People close to her suggested that her hesitation wasn't about Common himself, but about the scars she carried from her past. Her long and difficult relationship with David Otunga had left deep marks. That nearly decade-long engagement ended in a toxic mess of accusations, custody battles, and public drama. To Jennifer, the idea of stepping into another lifelong commitment felt less like romance and more like a risk. And while she may have had every reason to be cautious, Common reportedly took the hesitation hard. To him, it may have felt like rejection, not just of marriage, but of the love he believed they shared. Friends of the couple hinted that the distance began to grow right then. What was once effortless suddenly became fragile, a relationship now shadowed by doubt and fear. It's a cruel irony. The very thing that might have secured their bond, a proposal, may have been the moment it started to unravel. Because when Jennifer hesitated, the man known for walking away when love got complicated may have quietly begun slipping into old habits. And that's when the rumors started, rumors of distraction of other women and of a narrative turning messy fast. After the proposal rumors fizzled, fans began noticing subtle changes. At first, it was just fewer joint appearances, no red carpet smiles, no Instagram posts capturing cozy moments. Then came the shift in body language. On the rare occasions Jennifer and Common were seen together, something looked off. The easy laughter seemed strained, the warmth replaced by distance. To longtime followers, it was clear something was no longer right. And where there's smoke, there's usually fire. Whispers started circulating that Common had been spotted out and about looking a little too friendly with other women. Nothing concrete, but enough to spark speculation that he might already be distracted. Some fans pointed out that this was all too familiar. Common gets restless, his attention drifts, and before long, he's gone. But this time, the rumors didn't stop at possible infidelity. Allegations surfaced that Common himself had begun speaking negatively about Jennifer, sharing with friends and maybe even others in the industry that things weren't working out. For a man who once called her his greatest blessing, the change in tone was striking. Why would someone so publicly devoted suddenly start tearing down the very woman he praised just months before? Whether those comments were exaggerated or not, the damage was done. The perfect image of their relationship was cracking, and the public could sense the shift. To outsiders, it looked like Common's old habits were creeping back in, while Jennifer was left to navigate yet another wave of messy speculation about her love life. And yet the story doesn't end there, because the next set of rumors cut even deeper, questioning not just his loyalty but who Common really is when it comes to love. As if rumors of cheating weren't enough, another layer of speculation began to surface, one that's followed Common for years, but has never fully gone away. It centers not on who he's been with, but on whether the image he presents publicly reflects the truth about his private life. It all reignited when singer Jaguar Wright resurfaced her claims. She alleged that Common doesn't truly love the women he dates, but instead uses them socially, aligning himself with powerful names to boost his image, then moving on once the shine fades. According to her, the string of high-profile relationships wasn't about romance at all, but about status, harsh words, and ones that sparked heated debate. Then came a story whispered out of Hollywood circles. At an exclusive party, Common allegedly spent nearly an hour chatting up a man, ignoring the man's wife who happened to be working the event. Later in the night, the encounter reportedly took an awkward turn when Common allegedly asked, "So what are you doing later?" To some, it sounded harmless, To others, it fed into the rumors that maybe Common's interests don't always align with the image he projects. Adding more fuel, longtime followers pointed back to past interviews where Common hinted at trauma in his early life, trauma that some speculate might leave him conflicted when it comes to intimacy and relationships. None of this has ever been confirmed, of course. But in the world of celebrity gossip, allegedly and rumored often carry more weight than fact. Whether these stories are grounded in truth or not, they complicate the narrative. Because if Common is wrestling with questions of identity beneath the surface, then Jennifer Hudson may have been caught in a storm far bigger than just another failed romance. While much of the spotlight has focused on Common's reputation, Jennifer Hudson's own relationship history is far from simple. Before Common, she endured a long and often messy engagement to WWE wrestler David Otunga, a relationship that stretched nearly a decade but ended in chaos. When their split became public, it wasn't just a quiet separation. Jennifer accused David of toxic behavior, filing for a protective order and claiming he displayed increasingly aggressive tendencies. She painted a picture of a man who was jealous, controlling, and even manipulative in the way he involved their young son. The public, hearing Jennifer's side, first largely viewed David as the villain. But David didn't stay silent. He fired back, insisting Jennifer was the manipulative one, using her fame and influence to paint him as a monster. He argued that he had been the primary caregiver of their child, while Jennifer pursued her career and accused her of lying to maintain control of the narrative. He even claimed she forced him to put his career aside, only to later criticize him for not working enough. What followed was a bitter custody battle, accusations of cheating and dueling narratives that left fans unsure of where the truth really lay. Eventually, the protective order was dropped, but the damage to both reputations had already been done. And that's the part of Jennifer's story that often gets overlooked. For all her triumphs and resilience, her personal relationships seem to carry their own shadows. It raises the uncomfortable question, does Jennifer herself have a dark side when it comes to love? And if so, could that have played a role in why things with Common started to unravel so quickly? Beyond the rumors of cheating and past traumas, some insiders believe the real tension between Jennifer Hudson and Common came down to something far less scandalous but just as destructive: money and power. Jennifer isn't just a Grammy and Oscar winner. She's a global brand with television deals, a talk show, music projects, and acting roles that keep her in the spotlight and bring in serious paychecks. Common, while respected as a rapper and actor, doesn't command quite the same empire. And according to whispers, that imbalance sometimes crept into their private lives. Allegedly, Jennifer would remind Common, intentionally or not, that she was the bigger star, the higher earner, the one carrying more weight in the industry. For a man celebrated for his charisma and quiet confidence, that kind of dynamic may have been hard to swallow. Pride and ego are fragile things, especially in Hollywood, where image often matters more than truth. Some sources even suggested that Common began to feel beneath her, struggling to keep up with Jennifer's non-stop career momentum. While she thrived under the pressure, he may have felt overshadowed. And when one partner starts to feel small in the shadow of the other, resentment often grows quietly until it starts to poison the relationship. So could this imbalance of fame and fortune have been the spark that dimmed their flame? Was it Jennifer's dominance that left Common restless, or Common's pride that couldn't handle a woman outshining him? Either way, the supposed clash of money and ego may have pushed a fragile relationship even closer to breaking point. And that leads to the final question: were they ever really doomed from the start? At this point, it's hard to separate truth from rumor. On one hand, the signs of trouble are undeniable: fewer appearances, shifting body language, whispers of arguments and distance. On the other hand, neither Jennifer nor Common has come forward to officially confirm a breakup, which begs the question, are they quietly still together, choosing to keep the public out of their private struggles? It wouldn't be the first time a celebrity couple weathered storms behind closed doors while the outside world speculated. Some fans insist the rumors are exaggerated, pointing out that Jennifer and Common have both been busy with their own careers, which could easily explain their lack of public moments together. Maybe the story is less about betrayal and more about two people juggling fame, family, and pressure while trying to hold on to something real. But then again, this is Common. We're talking about a man with a long history of starting strong and fading fast when the spark disappears. Could this just be another chapter in his well-worn pattern where the thrill of new love fades and he quietly slips away, leaving Jennifer to pick up the pieces? Or perhaps the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Maybe the relationship isn't over, but it isn't thriving either. Maybe both sides are holding on not out of passion, but out of habit or fear of admitting that what once looked perfect has now unraveled. Whatever the case, one thing is clear: fans may never know the full story until either Jennifer or Common decides to break their silence. And until then, speculation is all we have, messy, dramatic, and impossible to look away from. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, it's clear that both Jennifer Hudson and Common brought heavy baggage into this relationship. Jennifer carried the scars of her past with David Otunga, years of accusations, custody battles, and public heartbreak that left her cautious about love. Common carried his own reputation, the endless cycle of whirlwind romance, quick declarations of devotion, and sudden exits when the excitement faded. Put those two stories together, and maybe it was only a matter of time before the cracks showed. For every glowing interview and public smile, there were rumors of proposals rejected, whispers of jealousy, and speculation about who they really were behind closed doors. Neither side comes out spotless. And maybe that's the point: Hollywood romances aren't built on perfection. They're built on image, on pressure, on two people trying to balance love while the world watches their every move. So maybe the real question isn't whether Common cheated or whether Jennifer pushed him away. Maybe the real question is whether any love in the spotlight can truly survive the weight of fame, power, and past pain. Because for all the fairy tale illusions, this story feels painfully familiar. Two stars who looked perfect on paper, but may have been doomed by the very cycles they've lived through before. But what do you think? Was this a case of Common repeating his same old patterns? Or did Jennifer's own fears and dominance drive them apart? Or are we all just caught up in messy speculation while they're still quietly together? Sound off in the comments. I want to know what you really believe happened behind the scenes.